Hi, my name is Kaitlyn Stevens, and I'm a senior biomedical engineering major at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Today I'll be giving a presentation on bay leaves. Specifically, I will be discussing the history and culture of the food, the nutrient composition, the food's relationship to disease, how to determine if the food is fresh and of high quality, and how it relates to agriculture. Then I will be discussing a dish in which I ate where bay leaves are an essential ingredient. This dish is called Kerala coconut curry. I will talk about how it is prepared, what it tasted like, and finally I will compare my own social and cultural perspectives to what I have learned. Bay leaves are an herb that finds its roots in the regions of Asia Minor and then was introduced into the Mediterranean and the rest of Asia during the days of ancient Greece and Rome. Once the bay tree and its leaves became popular in the Mediterranean area, the tree was then renamed to the laurel tree. In the days of ancient Greece, the leaves became synonymous with the Greek god of Apollo, specifically due to a myth of Apollo and Daphne. The myth tells of how Apollo was madly in love with this nymph named Daphne, and Daphne did not want his advances. So in order to escape him, she turned herself into a bay tree. As a result, in his grief, Apollo declared that the bay tree was sacred, and he wore a wreath of leaves on his head in her memory. This spurred the ancient cultural tradition of wreaths of bay leaves being given to victors in sporting events and in battle in the days of ancient Greece and Rome. Besides the cultural and culinary uses of the leaves, they were also used for their medicinal purposes. In the 1st century AD, the dried leaves and the bark of the trees were used to cure fever, anemia, and body odor. In the modern era, bay leaves are still seen as a symbol of accomplishment. Examples of this include the terms baccalaureate, in which is an honor given to those who have earned a bachelor's degree, and the term poet laureate, which is an honor given by the government to those who can compose a poem for certain events. The common culinary uses for the bay leaves now involve being a spice for dishes such as court bouillon, herbal teas, sauces, and different seafood dishes. Other modern uses include for medication, in which it is used as an astringent, a diuretic, an appetite stimulant, a stomach ulcer soother, and as an essential oil component that is found in many traditional medicines, which I'll be going into detail later. When it comes to the nutrient composition of bay leaves, it can be seen that they are a very healthy herb for many reasons. They are very rich in vitamin C, as they provide about 46.5 milligrams, which is roughly 77.5% of the recommended daily amount per 100 grams. This means that bay leaves are a very powerful natural antioxidant. They're also an amazing source of folic acid. They contain roughly 180 milligrams, which is about 45% of the recommended daily amount that we should consume. Folic acid is very essential for the processes of DNA synthesis. Bay leaves are also really essential in providing antioxidants such as calcium, iron, selenium, and magnesium. Bay leaves are utilized in many different ways in order to help out the body with disease. One method of utilization includes eating 1 to 3 grams of bay leaves normally to help fight type 2 diabetes. The extract of bay leaves can also be applied to the body to help combat paralysis and muscle pain. Finally, the essential oils of bay leaves have been incorporated into traditional over-the-counter medications to treat illnesses such as arthritis, bronchitis, and even flu-like symptoms. When utilizing bay leaves for cooking, it is actually best to not have them fresh for taste's sake, although they still can be eaten in this state if desired. This is because inherently bay leaves can be very bitter when they are first picked. Fresh bay leaves can be identified by how they are glossy and dark green in color. If not used when fresh, then how would they be utilized? High quality bay leaves are ones that have been set aside to wilt in the shade for a few days, which allows for the bitterness to fade. If they are properly stored in a cool, dark environment, then the dried bay leaves can last for around 1 to 3 years. If you want to test to make sure your dried bay leaves are still of high quality, one thing that you can do is to crush a small amount in your hand and smell them. If the aroma of the leaves is very weak, then they are no longer good and it's time to replace them. So bay leaves come from bay trees. Bay trees need to be planted in the spring, specifically after all the risk of frost is gone. This allows for the trees to establish themselves before the summer. It is important to make sure that the trees are in a shady spot that is able to be shielded from severe gusts. Finding bay trees is pretty easy, as many nurseries and garden stores sell them in their herbal section. Overall, the plant is described as being very, very hardy. It can survive moderate periods of drought, and it can even survive temperatures that are as low as -5 degrees Celsius, although it is not optimal for them to be in that temperature for long periods of time. For my dish that utilized bay leaves, I decided to go with the Kerala coconut curry. I chose this because last food presentation I tried another Indian dish which was called chicken tikka masala, and I was able to try that at Tandoor Indian Kitchen. Overall, I had really enjoyed last time's dish, so I figured that it would be something that I would enjoy to try another one of the dishes that they served at their restaurant that I'd never had before, that used an ingredient that I'd never had. So as a result, when I looked on their website and their menu, I was able to find the Kerala coconut curry dish, which utilized bay leaves, and I decided to go with it. Here was a recipe that I was able to find for making Kerala coconut curry that was very similar to what it was I had at Tandoor. So for this recipe, there are two main components. You have the masala gravy and then the chicken marinade. For the masala gravy, you need 4 onions, 4 green chilies, 1.5 tablespoons of ginger paste, 1.5 tablespoons of garlic paste, 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons of coriander powder, 2 teaspoons of fennel powder, 1 teaspoon of garam masala, 3 tomatoes, 3 1/4 cup of coconut milk, and 3 dried bay leaves. For the chicken marinade, you need about 1 kilogram of chicken, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, and then 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Something else that this dish can also be made with is going to be like white rice and naan bread. When it comes to the preparation for Kerala chicken curry, the first step is to go ahead and marinate the chicken with the ingredients that were listed on the prior page under marination. Go ahead and make it and set aside for about 30 minutes. Then the next step is to thinly slice the onions and the green chili. In a kadai, then you go and you heat the oil. When the oil is hot, then you are able to go ahead and add the sliced onions, the green chilies, the curry leaves, some bay leaves, and salt. Adding the salt is essential as it helps the onion get cooked faster. The next step is to grind the ginger and garlic into a fine paste. When the onions are lightly brown, add the ginger and garlic paste. Saute well till the aromas kind of are able to release their flavor. Once sauteed well, then add the chili powder, the coriander powder, the garam masala, fennel powder, and then saute together. Add oil as needed to fry the masalas. Add chopped tomatoes and mix it well in the gravy. Then you're going to cover and cook until the tomatoes are cooked, and that will take roughly 5 to 8 minutes. Adjust salt in the gravy as needed. Add the marinated chicken then, so you're going to go ahead and add the pieces to the gravy. Mix it well. Then you're going to cover and cook in a low to medium flame until the water is going to be able to release up from the chicken. Something that is important to note with this is that once the chicken pieces are cooked, you want to go ahead and allow the water to dry up. You don't want the chicken to be completely dry. Then when this is done, go ahead and add some chopped bay leaves and then the thick coconut milk. Adjust the salt again and allow it to boil. Overall, as I mentioned prior, this dish can be finished off with adding in some white rice and some garlic naan bread, which is what I had at Tandoor. Overall, I enjoyed the dish, although I did think it needed just a bit more zest. The one that I had was not very tomatoey, and I think it could have benefited from having that just a little bit more. I found that the overall taste was kind of minty, but I could definitely taste the peppery aspect that the bay leaves provide, but it was not as spicy as I thought it would be, which caught me off guard. One way that this dish is eaten traditionally in Indian cultures would be to go ahead and take the naan bread and then dip it into the sauce and then kind of mix it up together with the rice and the chicken and everything just for added flavor. When it comes to comparing my experiences with this food and to my own culture and everything, I had never had bay leaves before, nor had I ever tried Kerala coconut curry. And I found that it was a dish that I enjoyed trying. I enjoyed having a dish that was created more by having a flavorful sauce than just having the different combinations of the main food items together. I mean, having a sauce that made the dish just was a different experience, and it was one that I enjoyed. Since I have grown up in the South, dishes that utilize herbs such as bay leaves or ones that I have not really encountered much before, just because I've not been able to try many herbs and stuff that are from India or the Mediterranean. So it was a really cool experience to be able to have a dish that utilizes them, since it was something that I have not experienced often. Here are my references that I cited throughout my presentation. Thank you guys for listening to it today. I really did enjoy this dish, and I hope it's something that you guys, if you're interested, would be willing to try yourselves. Have a good day.